A woman forgot to fasten her seatbelt on a plane, and by a stroke of luck, it ended up saving her life. She was sleeping peacefully in her husband's arms when a fighter jet roared past the plane, jolting it violently. The woman woke with a start and glanced out the window. In an instant, the entire plane split in two. She watched her husband vanish before her eyes. With no time to grieve, she clung desperately to anything she could reach, fighting to keep from being thrown out of the cabin. After a terrifying struggle, she somehow managed to climb back into her seat, realizing the broken fuselage was about to crash. She fought back her fear and quickly buckled herself in. There was nothing left to do but wait. Seconds later, the plane plummeted toward the ground from 10,000 meters. When the woman regained consciousness, she stared at the shattered wreckage around her, barely able to believe she was alive. She gasped for breath, trembling uncontrollably until a sharp pain shot through her leg. Gritting her teeth, she lifted herself up and saw a steel plate had pierced her calf. To survive, she had no choice. Grabbing the plate with both hands, she pulled it out slowly, enduring excruciating pain. To stop the bleeding, she tore a strip of fabric from her dress and carefully wrapped her wound. Then she stood, limping and shouting for help, hoping to find other survivors. But only silence answered her. Just then, she noticed another woman in the back row and tried to check on her. The stranger was startled, and already weak, she fainted in her seat. Not long after, a mosquito bit the woman awake. Through the fog, she heard the distant thud of a helicopter. Overjoyed, she ripped off her scarf, ignored the pain in her leg, and staggered to an open area. She waved the scarf wildly and screamed at the top of her lungs, but the pilot never saw her. As the helicopter faded away, she collapsed in despair. Still, she refused to give up. If helicopters were searching, people on the ground must be looking too. She decided to head back to the wreckage to wait for rescue, but when she returned through the jungle, she froze. Inside the cabin, a huge tiger was feeding on a body. Holding her breath, she backed away slowly, only to step on a dry branch. The crack echoed. The tiger turned and advanced toward her. The woman stood frozen, eyes filled with terror. Just as she thought she would die, a helicopter roared overhead. The unfamiliar noise terrified the tiger, which fled in panic. The woman narrowly escaped. Too scared to go back inside, she rested nearby, constantly watching for the tiger's return. Calming down, she recalled what the pilot had said before takeoff. The plane had been flying west. The front half, where her husband was, had broken off earlier. That meant he must be to the east, but in the middle of the jungle, without a compass, how could she find direction? Then she spotted a small teddy bear nearby. Looking at its plastic tag, she remembered the survival skills her husband had taught her. She removed the tag, took out the pin inside, straightened it, and rubbed it against her clothing to magnetize it. She placed it on a floating leaf, and as the pin turned, she finally found east. She drank from a nearby river, filled a plastic bag with water, returned to the wreckage, and took the other girl's coat to keep warm. To walk easier, she broke off the heels of her shoes and wrapped her injured foot tightly with cloth. With one last look at the cabin, she set off east. Limping and wounded, she trekked through the wild, always on guard against animals. The journey was far harder than she imagined. She finally climbed a hill and reached flat ground only to step straight into a swamp.